Welcome to our section, Finding Useful Information from Piles of Text. We'll start off this section by introducing the concept of chunking, also called a hierarchy of ideas, and we'll discuss how we use chunking to break down information. Then we'll walk through some examples showing us how we implement chunking using NLTK. Finally, we'll discuss another information extraction method called chinking and walk through some examples of chinking using NLTK. So let's get started with our first topic, hierarchy of ideas, or chunking. In this video, we're going to introduce the concept of chunking. We'll discuss why chunking is one of the most critical steps when extracting information from text data, and finally, we'll show some examples of how chunking is used for entity detection and creating hierarchies of information. Okay, so you may already be thinking, chunking sure sounds a lot like named entity recognition. And if that's you, you're exactly right. In fact, earlier in the course, we used named entity recognition to create a component used for chunking called a noun phrase parser. Recall from our named entity video the following information extraction workflow. We can see here that entity recognition is a common approach to giving us chunked sentences. We can also see here that chunking is one of the final steps we perform prior to moving on to more complicated language processing tasks, like determining the meaning of a text, or classifying documents, or assessing the similarity of different sentences. Here we show two simple sentences. They saw the big bird, and the big yellow bird flew over my house. Both of these sentences we saw earlier in the course. The sentence on the top demonstrates how part of speech tagging and noun phrase parsing is used to chunk a sentence. The other sentence shows us how a sentence can be broken down into a hierarchy of ideas and visualized as a tree. Up until now, we've talked about simple and specific examples of chunking and how to implement some basic search criteria using regular expressions. However, real-world problems are very complex and would require a tremendous amount of time to build an effective chunker. Because of this, a commonly used approach to building a complex chunker is to train one using existing chunked datasets. In our next video, we'll walk through a couple examples to demonstrate how NLTK can be used to train a chunker. You should now understand what chunking is and where it is performed in the information extraction workflow. That wraps up our introduction to hierarchy of ideas, or chunking. In our next video, we'll demonstrate chunking in Python NLTK. I hope you've enjoyed our discussion, and until next time, happy coding.